Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's some cheesy music so we'll never get tired of.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And
Hi.
hello to my very, very, very nice voice.
Welcome to the smooth, silky sounds of my voice.
Smilky. Smoothie.
Sounds of pureed ice. Wait,
pureed
what?
ice. What?
Listen to the frappuccino sounds of my voice.
The frappuccino sounds.
The frappy.
The schmappy. Mm-hmm. The flappy.
The happy frappuccino.
The happy frappy.
Maybe I'm just thinking subconsciously here because I don't drink coffee anymore. So maybe my mind's just like going, you haven't had any caffeine this morning. What's wrong with you?
I know. Hello, Gubna. That's Nev. What is going on, Nev? You are having fun in the game. I am sure of it. 2 new characters in the game, I am guessing, for Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. The new, Luke?
Galactic Legends.
Galactic Legend, Luke and Galactic Legend, like the old men. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever version of Palpatine they're talking about.
They're like
these
Diaper
days.
Luke and Diaper...
Yeah, Diaper Palpatine.
Diaper Palpatine.
Yeah.
Clone Palpatine.
Clone Palpatine that still couldn't put himself into a younger body and still had to, I don't know.
Yeah. Eagle Eye, what is up? What is going down?
I say good morning to you all, but, let that land appropriately at whatever time of the day you're in.
Double defense fleet in GAC. Wow. Very cool. I never thought I'd see the day, but they needed that to happen. But now that they have like a bunch of, leaders,
a ton of capital ships and not enough ships.
That's
to
what
put
they're
them all
called.
under.
Capital ships.
Yeah. The big ones.
Leaders, capital ships, you mean? Yes, that's what I meant. Yeah. So what have you been doing this last, period of 7 days? What's up, apropos?
Well, I've been low key the last 7 days. I've been just kind of swallowing a lot of the political rhetoric that's out there and just kind of letting it
hold on. Where's the mute button?
letting it pass in one ear and out the other as usual. But
Yes.
Other than that, been getting a lot of projects done around the house, getting
Good.
a lot of work done in the garage, which has been a long time coming. So it's been nice to kind of break away from one area of my job, I guess you could say, and move into another. It's nice having about 3 different facets that I can work into at any given time. So if one starts to slow down a little bit or one starts to get annoying, I just kind of say, okay, put that on hold for a little while and move to the next. So if things get bad enough, I'll probably go back to trading Bitcoin again. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you still have Bitcoin. A lot of people don't, like my ignorant butt. I did not do Bitcoin. You were like, you really should start trading this about like 4 years ago or whatever. You were like, you really should get into this. And there's a bunch of different kind of coin, but Bitcoin, I really think so. And I'm
Well,
like,
that's the difference.
I just don't know.
That's the difference for a lot of people. If there was money to be made, but under the right circumstances, there wasn't a lot of money to be made. So if you bought it at the right time and you played your cards just right, you can be like me, who's maybe going to turn it into his retirement. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. But what's up, Jacob? Jacob says, what is going on? We are back on the menu. Uh-oh.
Ah, yes.
Don't eat me. Yeah, Nev, I probably miss the theory crafting the most with the game. I did enjoy doing, especially ships. I enjoyed ships a lot. And I guess the reason why I enjoyed ships was a couple of reasons. The first is a lot of other people didn't. And so because they didn't, I did.
Market.
It was an untapped market. But I enjoyed it because there was less competition because people didn't want to put in the time. They were like, boo, I don't want to deal with it, so I won't. So I was like, well, I want to, because if people aren't going to try there, I want to try there. So then when you start putting in the time, you started to see things, and things like Plo Koon. But I'm talking about Plo Koon 3 years ago, Plo Koon, like prior to Ships 2.0. I remember Plo Koon being like, with Galactic Republic, being like, making the Galactic Republic take turn after turn after turn after turn, and it was a bug, and they didn't even know about it. And if you did it right, you could just literally have an infinite loop. And they were like,
have a Greedo, pow.
Yeah, but you couldn't tell anyone about it because it's like you could just infinite loop your team, and so it was kind of a secret. But
well, and that was proprietary information that you weren't allowed to put out there.
Proprietary, but
proprietary.
Yeah, but so I enjoyed ships a lot because there were some really cool things you could do. And then to see how mods started to impact ships and how relics started to impact ships and how you could take specific characters up to a certain level or how it was wasted. So you could take a specific character up and then the other two could be literally gear 8 and the ship was perfect. It was exactly where it needed to be. So I could tweak it. I could say, this character, Ezra's got to go to relics, but the other two are trash. They can be at 8 and your ship is up. Boom, right there. Even with one, but it's a perfect blend to have the ship exactly where you need it for, Ships Arena. So yeah, it was pretty interesting, but looks like Nev he said he had some Bitcoin, $3 sold at 343. You shouldn't have sold. Apropos.
Well, that was, if you get it at $3, that was pretty early on. And yeah, a lot of people weren't really catching the whiff of what was being cooked at that point. So yeah, it's definitely a easy thing to say that, I got to do it way back then, and then got out when I thought, holy cow, I never thought it would hit up $100, but nobody could have predicted a couple years ago, or end of 2017.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
Yeah, and the other coins, Litecoin and some of the others, some of those haven't fared as well. Obviously, Bitcoin is kind of the standard, the staple.
It's become the gold standard, and they tried to they tried to divide it. They tried to make a couple of different coins off of it to try and make it, like Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Dark, all the different variations they had there that just did not land very well. I think it was just because people didn't know the original name.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were like, oh, it's going to phase out. The next best thing will come. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but Bitcoin is way too catchy. Everybody knows it. Nobody says cryptocurrencies. They all think Bitcoin. So that's just the name.
It's like Kleenex. You don't say tissue.
Yeah, exactly.
Please hand me a tissue.
Yeah, you say Band-Aid. You don't say, what is it, adhesive strip or whatever it's supposed to be.
Please give me an adhesive strip. Give me a Band-Aid. Sometimes certain companies,
certain band names just kind of, or brand names take the take the cake and take the market. Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple things. One, I had a good week. We'll talk about that. But two, people are probably looking at the thumbnail going, what is up with this thumbnail?
Odd.
There's a canal. That's kind of weird. So that's going to lead us into story time at the end. Story time has some fond memories and then kind of a tragic turn that just recently happened in our hometown. So we're going to talk about story time at the end, which I'll start it off with some fond memories because I'd like it to not be just totally a downer story. I'd like it to have some kind of it can be twofold. So we'll have story time.
Ebb and flow.
Yeah, we'll have some story time at the end, and it will have, of course, it's a Canal story. And of course, the beginning part of the Canal story will be some childhood memories of the Canal, which are good.
And we're not
Canal
referring
stories.
to water under the bridge.
In fact, I told a Canal story once on here already where I was by the canal and there was these huge hills and I rode my bike and I literally caught air and crashed, and I've told that story before. And then I refused to totally biff it in front of my brother's best friends. And so I got on my bike, went all the way back up to the top of the hill and did it again and Supermaned off my bike and smashed and totally it was embarrassing.
There's also a Canal story with a canoe purchased with life savings.
Oh, yeah. We did that. That was another Canal story.
Yeah.
That's a different canal in a different city, but that was that canal as well. So canals are kind of life-giving, but we do have a story for that at the end. So that's why the canal is on the thumbnail, if you were wondering. But
a little bit of context for you.
Yeah, so if you were wondering, that's where that's come from. But this week, kind of same thing for you, different day for myself. Everybody knows, I can publicly speak. I mean, that's just kind of a thing. I mean, I YouTube, so talking to individuals, whether it be virtually or in public, is not a thing. But I've always felt
there can be a soapbox anywhere if you're loud enough.
Yeah, I always felt like doing it actually for real, like in reality, not just virtually, but in reality would be something I'd want to do, but more with a purpose. And what I mean by that is this has a purpose. Obviously, it's to hang out with all of you. It's fun. It's for entertainment, but I do have a belief system. I am a Christian, and so I do have some things I like to talk about, tools relationally with marriage. My wife and I both are very passionate about the nuclear family and making sure that the people who have decided to become married, stay married, like that they, work through it and stay together, and that they have the proper tools and that they know how to use them and that they work together. And so my wife
and I
to
enjoy your lifelong commitment that people don't take very seriously anymore these days.
Yeah. And so we have for years taught privately classes and things like that. And that is on a very small scale teaching, but it's not really the same thing as like public speaking. Even though I'm comfortable with public speaking, my wife always has been like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I could do that. And so I've been stretching her, metaphorically speaking, over the last few years. And last fall, I actually had her do 3 30-minute public speaking sessions with me last fall. And that was surprising because not only did she say, yes, I'll do it, and she did, but B,
She's
did
kind of starting to like it.
yeah, she did really, really, really well. So that was super amazing. I was super proud of her because she went totally outside of her shell and she stretched herself and I was super proud of her. She did really well, but she did so well. And I'm not trying to be boastful, just in apples and apple, right? She did well enough that the church said, hey, we really want you back. And we actually want to give you, because this was part of a weekend where there was like 10 presenters. And so that was last year. And so we were one of many presenters. There was like 8 presenters. And so we were one course of like an 8-course meal, so to speak, of information. And so this time they said, we actually want you just to have your own night, like just you and your wife come and just have your own night. And we want to put it on and kind of give you guys an opportunity to do a public speaking thing. And so this was like not just 3 30-minute sessions, but this would be like one big public speaking thing where they bring the whole church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The headliners.
Yeah. And then of course, open it up to the whole valley, which is like, 100+ churches, and just like anyone can come and you guys will have a whole, a couple hours to do your thing. And I was just like, oh man, this is going to be the next level for her. Of course, I know that I'm going to be comfortable doing this, but are you going to be comfortable doing this, honey? And, she's like, oh, we're going to try it.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, we're going to see. We're going to see if this happens. And so anyway, that was last night. So we did that last night. That got live streamed on Facebook. It went off without a hitch. It was super fun. I had no expectations. I just went in, just wanted to have fun. I was, of course, my usual corny self. Had a really great time. Heard lots of laughing and stuff. So that always lights, just warms my heart when I hear people having a fun and good time when you present information.
So many things go off without a hitch or go a lot better when you walk in without expectations. So that's just
the irony
to keep along with that.
The irony of it is the material we were presenting was the difference between expectations and desires, and how you should live in the world of desires versus expectations, because expectations are crushing and desires are not. And so anyway, I'm not going to go into all of that, but it is
Either
funny.
way, it's good material.
Yeah, it is. It's phenomenal material. So, and it was really fun. So we had a really good time last night. The church gave her flowers and they gave us a gift card. It was very sweet. It was fun, but it was the next stage. And it stretched her a little bit further, and she realized she could actually do public speaking in front of a ton of people. In fact, we were live streamed to the church, and that was, not only did we have live participants in the church, but then we also had a live stream. So for her, this was like a big deal.
She went beyond plus ultra.
So anyway, I just thought
those of you out there who watch.
Yeah, I thought it was very, very cool. So it was just fun to see. It's been fun to watch her development over the last 5 years of going from being an extreme introvert and like, I'll never do public speaking, to literally like 5 years later being on a stage doing public speaking with, lapel mics and just passing the ball back and forth. And like, she was like on it. Like, we practiced it a few times and she was just, rehearsed perfectly. She did a phenomenal
something
job.
to reference and take the rest and go.
Oh man, we passed
enjoy
the
yourself
ball back,
on top of it.
The
Look what happens.
the metaphorical ball back and forth, and we had our scripts. I write basically a script out. It's a cliff notes, if you will, of what we're going to talk about. Everything she's going to cover, everything I'm going to cover, and I highlight like
They could be a
me,
great
her,
note, or if
me,
you're
her,
floundering,
me,
you should
her.
read the whole paragraph.
Yeah, and man, she did phenomenal. So it was really, really fun. Good time.
Isn't it interesting when you have people that you know for a long time and you think to yourself, oh, they're a pretty outgoing person. They've got no problem with public speaking or being around other people or groups or whatever. And then you hear them later talking about how, oh, I'm terrified of this. I don't want to do this. I can't do this. This is ridiculous. Like, why would anybody ask this of me? And you're going, I can't for a second think why you wouldn't be good at that. Like, I know a couple of people that are talking about how introverted they are, and I'm like, you're one of the most outgoing and extroverted people that I know, but it's interesting how our self-perception can kind of change that and kind of keep us from getting into situations like that where we can actually benefit other people and get out there and have good things to say. And once you stretch that muscle a little bit, now all of a sudden you realize, hey, I can do this. All right. It's like, yeah, just be who you are in front of me and just like you are in front of a bunch of other people. And it's the same thing. No big deal.
Yeah, crazy.
It's funny because with Connie, I wouldn't have assumed that. I wouldn't have said like, oh, she's a real, quiet or, introverted person, whatever, wouldn't come out of her shell. I would have assumed wouldn't be much of a hesitation for her to hop up and do something like that.
That's because you're around her in a small, quiet environment, and you're a close friend. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we're like playing a game, and she's like, kill Will. Because when we play games, you guys have no idea. My wife is like, all right, you guys, we're going to play a board game, and it's going to be me and you and you and you and you and you against Will. Will, kill him. You know what I mean? Like that, you know how it is. Uh-huh. Oh, man, that is.
There are definitely team-up times, yes.
She's like, anyone can win but him, okay, guys?
So benefit us all except for him, okay? Oh, all right.
Yeah, she is not okay with me winning a game because she's like, he always wins. He always wins. Always. I'm like, you using that word wrong. It's not always, but it's there's a higher percentage. I'll give her that, but it's not always.
That's wrong. You're looking for like 90, 95%. Calm down.
It's not quite that high, but anyway.
Not quite that high. No. Because for everything else where strategy doesn't come into play, there's just ridiculous luck that just piles itself on. So,
The worst part about playing games with me, and he'll attest to this, is it's almost, and I hate to say it, but it's almost like divine intervention because I'll literally be like, I need a 7. I need you to roll a 7. And then you'll roll a 7 literally that moment. Yeah. Or I'll be like, I just really need.
I'm getting crap cards right now. Things just aren't going my way. Oh, look, the card I needed. Hey, cool. All right. Yeah. Oh, look, another card that I really didn't need, but hey, it's going to make me win anyways. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's what, like, I just start to speak into existence the very things I need to happen. I'll literally say
I'm all about a positive attitude, but I'm not usually the kind of person that says that you can influence something just by speaking it out into the, into the world, into the karma,
my
whatever.
Wife's like, no, he has power in his words. Don't let him speak.
I have seen this. I've seen this happen firsthand.
Every game I like start to speak into existence the like positivity, but I'm like, positivity breeds positivity. I don't care who you are. I don't, but then when I'm like in last place, and that does happen sometimes, I'm in last place. I'm just like, I'm in last place. I like make sure everyone knows it. I'm like, I'm in last place. Everybody know that? I'm in last place. Does everybody
if you
see
all
this?
aren't paying attention, this sucks right now.
Yeah, this sucks for me right now. Just look, everybody. I'm in last place.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm still attacking you because here we go. All right, I'm very close, and here's Will coming to steal the win from me again. All right.
That is weird. The last game we played of Settlers of Catan, I was in last place literally all the way through the game, and then at the very end, I came from last to take it. That was
things just weren't rolling for me. Cards weren't coming in my hand. I wasn't getting the resources I needed. He's just slowly building up, and there it is. Yep.
That's a strategy.
It is a strategy.
That's
I know.
A strategy.
Problem is, it's a strategy that I know darn good and well about, and couldn't do anything about because the strategy was working for you. The RNG wasn't working for me.
Oh man, that is a fun game. I'm highly addicted to that game.
Regardless, I still enjoy playing the game, and I still enjoy playing with it. It's not as much of a pain in the butt as kind of likes to make it out sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and the first time we played,
I'll take my lashes and keep on moving. Dang, it'll just make me stronger for the next one.
I know, and you'll learn as you go. But the first time we played, Artisan K, who's been on the stream, of course, just whomped us, like straight whomped us.
Yeah.
We were like, "What is this expansion pack about?" It's called Cities and Nights for that game, and we were playing the expansion. We're like learning it as we go, and not the exhibition game because we played an exhibition to learn, but then the first real game where we were like, kill each other.
We've already got the rules down. We know what we're doing.
He slaughtered us.
Yeah, he just
the highest point score I think was a 6 or a 7, and he was a 13.
It took a while for him to finally clinch it, but yeah, throughout the entire game, it was pretty well consistently on his side.
Andrew Bryant says, "So are we writing in Warrior for president?" Yeah.
Hey, we both got nominations on this live stream before, so maybe we should think about that.
Seafarers is great. Apropos, Seafarers is great. Yeah. I heard it's basically just one of the fastest variants that you have. Basically, almost no new rules, just a slight rule add. There's some gold and just very little additives. But it changes the board up drastically, which people like to change up the way the board looks, and so and then
big change of
add
scenery.
ships. And so I heard the Seafarers is fun. We don't own that. We are
Yet.
thinking about getting that. But if you haven't played Cities and Knights, if you're a Settlers of Catan, by the way, if you're not playing Settlers of Catan and you're a board game person,
What are you doing with your life?
what in the hell are you doing with yourself? Seriously, Settlers of Catan, it may seem simple. It is one of the best board games in the world. It literally has won like 50 awards. Game of the Year and internationally multiple times, Game of the Year in America multiple times. It's literally one of the best board games in history. It's won more board games than like Monopoly. It's literally one of the best.
Monopoly's stinking popular. Monopoly
Yeah,
popular.
apropos says doing it wrong if they aren't.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's hilarious. But Cities and Knights adds a layer of convolution, complication to it that you want, because the game at some point you become so good at it that it becomes kind of simplistic, and there's just only so many strategies to winning, and you can kind of see, you can almost go, okay, I know
There's
exactly.
only so many times you can beat your family and friends at this game.
Well, you can look and you can go, okay, I know exactly what he's doing to win. He's going to do X or Y, and that's how he's going to win. Those are the only ways he's going to be able to win. So I'm going to stunt X, so forcing him into Y. And if you're someone like me, you know these things. And so it makes strategy very mundane, because I know how to prevent someone from winning, which creates a victor every time. This is why I win the game so much, because I can see how someone else can win. And with this expansion, it gives you 8, 9, 10 ways of winning, and I can't compress the opponent's way of winning 9 different ways. It's impossible. So it gives so many variants to winning that it's impossible to prevent the opponent from winning. Now it's like, how are you going to win? Not how are you going to prevent your opponent from losing? So yeah, it's
kind of leveled the
difficult.
playing field. It was nice.
Yep. Very, very fun.
Oh, and a while ago, Jacob John, I knew we smelled what you're cooking with the menu comment.
Yeah, Jacob. Yeah, I'm off the board.
Just poking the funsies.
All right. Well, today we're not attempting the game. We are just going to do good old-fashioned cards. You guys get to participate. It's going to be fun. And I don't know what we're going to be doing next week. Maybe the game. Maybe we'll attempt the game.
To cooperate and
or Nox. We might go back to Nox and see. It sounds like
true.
Nox is more stable, so we might go back to Star Wars next week for you to just play, and then I'll just chat while you play. We'll see. So next week's kind of up in the air, but we'll determine the content of next week.
Next week, an hour or two before.
Yeah, I know, right? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Yeah, because it sneaks up on us. It goes by fast.
Always, yeah.
Mostly, always, every time. But yeah, so we're gonna do that. And so got some weird kind of oddball. We actually have 3 different types of cards today, because we're kind of cleaning up the deck, going through the cards.
This is the end.
If you're at home and you're playing along, of course, you guys, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on every single card, so we can read your guys' answers, and gals, if there's a gal out there.
Opinions allowed.
Yes, opinions allowed. We want to know what your thoughts are on each card. Let us know in the comments down below, and then we will read those out as well. And then if you're watching this after the fact, there's a lot of you who watch this after the fact. You can play as well. Put your thoughts in the comments, and I will respond to each and every comment after the fact. So let's figure out who goes first.
Afterwards.
Crush. Oh, that was hilarious, by the way. We were playing, what was it? We were somewhere, and you and I did paper, rock, scissors in public.
Oh, well, it was last week when we did this, and we rock, paper, scissors, and I actually won. And then we did it for...
where was it? It was not here. It was somewhere else. And then they were like,
oh, is that over at Jared's place? We were playing Catan?
No. It was somewhere that had nothing to do with... It was somewhere else. We were doing paper, rock, scissors, and they were like, what, you guys act like you play a lot. We're like, actually, we do. We do.
At least once a week.
Yeah. It had nothing to do with... Anyway, our brains, man.
It'll pop in there at some point. Like I said, did I mention I'm off coffee right now?
Yeah. You're off coffee?
I'm off coffee for a while.
Off coffee.
Yeah.
Hot pocket.
It's innocuous. I think it's ridiculous that 1 cup a day is too much for some people, and I'd never assumed I was one of those people, but now I'm going to test the theory out and see if some health things start to rearrange themselves without it. So I don't know. We'll see. Fingers crossed. It's a pain. It's a struggle. Anybody out there who relies on it every day, at least a pot a day, you know what I'm going through.
This is interesting. Kind of a weird question. I think a lot of these questions have been weird.
We've definitely been getting to the bottom of the barrel of at least the censored barrel. That's for sure.
This is a sports question. So is it a psycho move to bet against your own team so that you're happy either way? So if you bet against them and they lose, you win money. And if they win, you lose money, but your team wins. So is that a psycho move?
Well,
to bet against your team?
Two different things. When you're betting against them, just, so you can be happy at the end of it either way, that's one thing. But if you're actually betting money, that's kind of a silly move. I think when it comes right down to it, being a Cubs fan, I could bet against my team pretty regularly and be okay with that and actually make money off it as a strategic move, all while secretly trying to will them into winning, going, I don't care if I lose money. This is a perfect way to lose money because I can finally get them to actually win, and not choke in the playoffs. That would be nice. But given the fact that I'm not usually one of those fair weather fans who likes to hop around back and forth and, today I'm this, tomorrow I'm that. No, I pick a team. I go to bed with it. I decide that that's my team. I'm going to go with them, win, lose, or fail. So but
it's the motivator.
I know it's the motivator.
Is it a psycho move to bet against them so you're happy?
So I'm happy.
Is it a psycho move for happiness to do that for
It's
happiness?
not a psycho move, but it's an unhealthy move. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not very good for your well-being. If you kind of had that mentality of you're just planning on things failing all the time, then you're one of those people that other people probably don't want to be around.
Yeah.
If you're one of those women who go into relationships planning for your next relationship, you're not going to be a very popular person.
All right. I'm Tyler Durden. Sorry I'm late, guys. What do you think, Tyler? Is it a psycho move to bet against your own team so that you're happy either way? If they win, you're happy. You lose some money, but you're happy because your team won. But if your team loses, you win money. But the motivator,
are you Jack's complete lack of enthusiasm?
Exactly. But is that a psycho move to want happiness regardless by betting against your own team?
I wouldn't say it's psycho. I would just say it's very unhealthy. I would say it's not a good mentality to have in life.
Yeah. And nobody's answering, which means that everybody thinks this is a stupid question.
See, they're a stupid question. They're all like, I don't want to answer this one, honestly.
This is dumb. Pass.
Yeah, about that.
I don't know. I think for me, I do think it's a bit of a, I don't know if I would call it, like you said, I don't know if I call it a psycho move, but I think it's a dumb move. I think that you should just bet against the team if you think it's going to earn you money. If you're a bettor, you're either a gambler or you're not. I'm not a gambler. I never gamble money, so I don't lose money or win money. But if I was a gambler, I would only gamble on the odd that I thought was going to net me a return. I wouldn't gamble for feelings. I would gamble for money. Yeah. I think gambling for feelings is a psycho move. So actually, yes, I would say yes to this
question. Gambling for feelings and you have a problem, and you're just there for the rush. I knew I would
talk it out.
You're not there for being like somebody like me where it's like, I'm not all about safe moves with every aspect of my life, but when it comes to gambling, betting on things big, cryptocurrency, I bet safe. I definitely bet in a way that was going to net me a return and give me a safety net that I could, or a threshold that I could get to so I could back out when it was a safe time to do so.
If you're gambling for your feelings, you're gambling for the wrong reason. You're a psycho. You shouldn't gamble for happiness.
Gamble with money, not your feelings.
So I'm Tyler Durden was all, common sense, win over team loyalty. I wouldn't do it. Icy Hand says, I didn't want to say it. And then let's see, B. Coots 916 says loyalty is everything, and this is coming from a New York Giants fan. He's sobbing into his sleeve as he writes this. And see, he says he doesn't. Tyler,
hey,
says
the Giants took it away
money
from the Cubs in what, 64? So or somewhere around that time. So don't be too sad yourself.
So yeah, definitely, I would say that's a psycho move because you're gambling for feelings, and that to me that would be a.
Yeah, if you're gambling to make you happy,
I hate to say it, but that would be a woman move.
Yeah, if this is your hobby, is gambling, then it's not a very healthy hobby.
Nope. Now, 54% of the readers said yes, this would be a psycho move.
I guess to an extent we're in agreement with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't be as harsh as to say psycho move.
Yeah. No, I actually agree. It's psycho. You're psycho. You're
psycho. It'd be a manic depressive move.
I'll go there. You're psycho.
Just kind of like for those people out there who just can't go to bed with who they are, they have to, cut and mutilate themselves to be something different. So anyways, let's go ahead and debate the internet, or let's see here. We got a couple of different weird ones.
Yeah, you have some weird oddballs.
Do a little bit of we'll try to set the flow of these cards here. That's a really long one. That's
You
a really
only
long
have
one.
one debate.
That's
You
really
might as well
long.
just
I'll start off with the debate then. No bar stool percentage to go off of this one. This is just the internet, us and yous guys. We're gonna sit and hash it out because this is a deep one. This is a really deep one. What are the funniest names for a fantasy football team?
Fantasy football.
For one, I didn't know that you named your fantasy football team. I thought it was just you pick all the good guys and hope that basically like if you could take the time to make a better team than what they've come up with that you think would actually win better because, this guy's a great running back and that guy's a great tight end and that's an awesome quarterback. I'm going to put them together and make a dream team. It's
Don't you have to name your team?
I don't know. I've never played fantasy football before.
Well, no, you have to have a team name because you're put into a league and then they see all the team names and you could pick a name and see what their roster looks like. So,
that's not just what Will picked, what Jacob picked.
It's
you got to have a name.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's an easy one. They'd be the SureShots. Yeah, that's because I picked them all, so I knew it was a sure shot.
It says, what are the funniest names for a fantasy football team?
Happy Fun Ball Team, in reference to South Park
Frank
episode.
says you do name your team, which I've only played once and I named my team in that one. So, Smoke asked me if I miss Star Wars Galaxy Heroes at all. Do I ever think about coming back? Not really. I don't. I'm kind of a on or an off kind of guy. I'm either on or off, and I'm off for that. Jacob, I never understood how people have fantasy teams and those teams can battle each other. I guess it's an American thing. Yeah, fantasy football, things like that.
Well, because that's the biggest word right there is fantasy. This is happening in fantasy land somewhere. You're taking somebody else's stats, putting them into your fake little world.
Oh,
you're Bob Rossing it and saying, well, maybe in our world, this team is good. Maybe in our world, Colin Kaepernick's a worthwhile, decent guy. Maybe in our world, Tom Brady doesn't have phosphorus white teeth for no good reason.
Frank Brown says his fantasy football team was called Balls Out. That's good.
Pretty good.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Fantasy football team.
Yeah, Tyler, you could have a fantasy soccer
The underdogs. Try and put together a team that's all the really good guys that never had a good shot in their respective sport and got traded off or, thrown to the sidelines or not cared about. Like winning 2 games in a row and having a pretty decent game, even though you're falling apart a little bit, and then deciding to take Mitchell Trubisky out and put in whoever it was to replace him, and then he goes and loses the next game. Things like that. Guys that never really get their fair shake of the deal.
Yeah. Mine would be like Poor Picks.
Poor Picks.
Yeah, Poor Picks United or something like that, because I guarantee I would pick the players, and then I would be like one of the first ones eliminated. So it'd have to do something with like bad picks, poor picks, something to that effect. I would come up with something.
All that we would pick is the poor picks.
Yeah,
because we're not into it enough.
Yep. What up, Helen X? Helen X says, and before he goes back to work, fantasy football team name, the No QBs. Shameless self-promotion.
Boo for having to go back to work, but keep it up, man. Millions on welfare depend on you.
True Biscuit. True Biscuit. I don't know what I would name a fantasy football team. Honestly, it would just be something like, Poor Picks.
Poor Picks.
Yeah, Poor Picks.
The Losers.
Losers.
That's already a comic book group.
Yeah.
Yeah, not very good at this one. Something clever.
Ice
off the top
Legion
of my head.
every year. Icy Hand, that makes sense. Ice Legion.
Icy hot, because when they're hot, and when they're not, then just forget about it.
So when I did the UFC, I did UFC for like 8 years. They had a fantasy thing. Mine was Warriors Elite. That was what it was called. But I cared about UFC, so I was like the Warriors Elite, and that was because I'm a warrior, right? And then I would pick Warriors Elite, and they were the elite fighters, and I was top 10 in the world for the first 4 years. And then I was like top 20 for the next couple of years. And then when I stopped being top 20 in the fantasy UFC league, I just quit. I was like, oh man,
never mind. Can't fall this far.
I can't. Yeah, I'm no longer good. I gotta quit. But no, it was just so many people were participating by year 7 and 8 that I was like top 100. But it was when you were top 10. Or top 20, they would like when you got in the top 10, they would actually send you like a grab bag of free crap.
Oh, nice.
Which was really cool. So I got a
Good
lot
job
of
for being good at this.
Yeah, so I got like lots of free UFC stuff, which was really, really cool. They'd send posters and other stuff. In fact, I was number 3 in the world on the fantasy thing, and I got UFC gloves for that and some other stuff. So that was fun. And for the first 4 years, I was always in the top 10 on picks. And there was, there were like 8 to 20,000 people doing it. So it was a relatively small bunch of people playing that fantasy football, but I was still beating 8 to 20,000 people. But by year 8, there was like 3 million people playing, you know what I mean? And so
suddenly it's just an oversaturated market.
Yeah. Being in the top 100 was cool still, but I wasn't winning prizes anymore. And so to me, it just became a project, something I had to do again. And so it went from being fun to something I had to do. It's just like a game, when a game goes from being fun to a job, a chore, it's like, quit. So yeah.
When it's a requirement on my day and my time and my effort. And that's when I start to lose interest as well.
Yeah. Scissorman's Warrior. Yeah. But Warrior's Elite. I guess I could call
Scissorman's Warriors.
I could call my football team Warriors Elite, just like I did the UFC.
And there you go.
I mean, if I cared about football, I would call them Warriors Elite. Mm-hmm. And that would be fine. And then when I played a previous game, Stormfall, Rise of Boulder, I had Warriors Elite as a actual group of guilds. They were all part of WE, Warriors Elite, and all the guilds who were on the map had to put "we" in parentheses in front of their guild name, which was so super awesome because it showed loyalty to me, to my
loyalty
alliance,
to your movement.
Well, to my alliance, and so but I picked "we" Warriors Elite because we were the elite, but also the initials were ingenious, dude. We, because it's not I, it's we. We do this together. We are this, we are that. And so at the beginning, it would be we, and then their guild name. And we had over 100 of the top guilds. In the top 200 guilds in the world, we had 100 of the top 200 guilds. In fact, the top 20, 17 of the top 20 guilds in the world were ours.
Dang.
And so we were a powerhouse. But then I quit that game. As I do eventually. I played that game for over 3 years. And finally, after 3 years,
it's one thing to play it for a little while and be like, I'm bored. I'm out. Like, oh, come on, you're just getting good. It's like, no. I gave this 3 years.
It wasn't that. It was that that game was even more time consuming than this game. And you know what? I wasn't making any money on that game at all. I was putting in 4 times the amount of energy and effort into that game, but I was making no money. I wasn't YouTubing it. I wasn't doing anything. I was just working. It was work. I was doing conference calls. I'm not even kidding you. Conference calls for that YouTube or for that game where I would have 80 people on a conference call. And we were talking about how we were going to like manage the war over the weekend. And I'm like, and my wife's like, what are you doing? Like, is this work or what do you, and I'm like, hey, leave me alone. Get out of here. Shut the door. We got to talk. And she's like, this is too much, like, what are you doing? Like, you're not even making money on this. Like, this is too much time, effort. And I took a step back and I was like, man, I'm yoking all this money in here, this time in here, all this. So
does this truly make you happy?
So I stepped down, I gave everything over to my leaders. And then the whole like opposition heard I quit and they were like, they were like barbarians. They like came in and like took over and we fell apart. And, but they have the game.
This game is circling the drain.
Yeah. Stormfall Rise of Valor has a historian book. Like the game makers made a historical ledger that like is in the game. And they have like historians that like enter like what has happened since the beginning of the game. This is one thing the game has that no other game I've ever seen has. And I'm in the ledger.
You get to create your own history.
Yeah, the game has, the mobile game has a history and I'm in the game's history ledger.
You get to create your own history, much like school teachers these days.
I know, right? Well, but it was awesome because I'm in the historical ledger, and like about, like 2 years after I'd quit, I went back and like got into my castle, and they saw it was active, and they like sent me a message, and they're like, "Are you playing again or whatever?" And I was just like, "Hey, just popping in, seeing what you guys are doing." Yeah. And they invited me back into chat.
Just here to kick the cobwebs.
And there were people that had never played with me that were like, "Ooh, we want to talk to you, like grandfather. You're from the wee days.
Bestow upon us your wisdom."
Yeah, and I'm just like looking at the map. I'm like, "Oh my god, so much has changed. Yeah. I didn't want to do this anymore."
Now. Nope,
delete. I deleted the game that after I was like, "This sucks." And they're like, "Where'd you go?" And I'm like, "No comment." I deleted that messenger.
Bad choice. Don't mind me. Momentary lapse in judgment.
Yeah, they were using Line. I deleted Line. I was like, I'm just deleting Line.
So I guess given the state of the game, obviously I see a lot of people here talking about, soccer and football. Obviously we call football, it football here, whereas soccer over there, they call it football. So
well, football American.
Yeah, which makes more sense because obviously you're kicking the ball with your foot, like the entire game, as opposed to just once to, biff it more, majorly and double doink. But I guess, really, if I could go fancy football, I could probably just call them the football LARPers, because they're all out there acting anyways. There's not really any true talent or anything. They're just, or even just call, we can even call it like Losergate, because basically all these people taking a knee are all a bunch of losers. So they're just kind of like showcasing that. So, you can just,
I don't care.
Make games off of that.
I don't care if they do. I don't care if they stand. I don't care if they sit. Honestly, I'm one of those people. I'm probably in the minority, but I honestly don't care. What I care about is what they put the camera on. That's what I care about. If they're gonna do that, let the people at home stare at the flag. Let's put it on the flag, and let's make people get to decide for themselves what they want to do. Mm-hmm. People at home consider stand; they get to make that choice. But let's put it on the flag and make that decision.
It's one thing if you're doing it for a legitimate cause. It's one thing just to purely disrespect our country and our flag. So when that differentiating line comes in, and it's nothing about divisiveness, then that's where I draw the line, and that's where they've lost me a long time ago. Of course, unfortunately, Major League Sports have been going downhill for longer before this whole garbage. So, it's really just kind of sad that it's always been about money anyways. So not about the pure talent. I love feats of strength. I don't care about how much you're getting paid. That's not a feat of strength for me. That's just because you're lucky.
I do like watching two men run into each other at 20 miles an hour and smash each other's heads and give each other concussions. It's something about that that's fun to watch.
And then wonder why they go get all messed up in the head and go murder their whole family,
Oh my God. Tyler, Richard Raiders, Tyler Titans, bloody useless Bengals.
You also substitute for Browns,
Yep. He didn't want to use the typical British bloke talking about football. Football to you, football to me, it's all good. So
yeah, gotcha.
Yep, that's hilarious.
I do like to differentiate because they are two very different sports.
All right, let me go to...
Although I will say one thing about soccer/football, man, that takes a lot of cardio to fake injuries that much. So anyways...
All right, poll the internet. This is another poll. Would you rather everyone be naked all the time? So everyone in the world is just naked. There's no more clothing in the world anywhere.
That's a great thought in theory, but in practice,
or everyone is clothed all the time, forever.
Oh, so it's an all or nothing, huh?
Yep, it's an all or nothing. Everyone has clothes forever, or everyone is naked forever.
I mean, I guess in a sense it would desensitize us to a lot of things, but like I don't want to be desensitized to that. I want to appreciate beauty when it comes around once in a while.
I think you could appreciate it if everyone was naked because you'd see so much you didn't want to see. You'd be like,
yeah, but I mean, it would just kind of like desensitize you. You'd be so oversaturated anymore. Just, another pretty thing walking by would just be another, I don't know.
Frank Brown, yeah. If everyone is naked, you'd eventually be desensitized. Mm-hmm. So number one, Frank Brown is naked all the time is one.
And of course, you got to think about the functionality of it. When it comes right down to it, you just cannot live life naked. I'm sorry. Nudist colony people, yes, you're free. You're all whatever. You're not inhibited and all that.
I would catch my sack on a nail. I guarantee it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh! You can't play
full contact sports anymore. The wayward high five, it just wouldn't be a good thing. Tell me this: could you grind on metal? Could you? I mean, obviously people aren't all fabricators or whatever, but I mean, like in a practicality standpoint,
And you can make holes in clothing. So
not to mention all our Midwestern friends up there. I mean, I couldn't survive a full summer naked, or let alone a full winter naked. That just wouldn't work. I mean,
and there is some like see-through clothing and skin-tight clothing, and you know what I mean? And you can make holes in clothing.
I guess for practicality's sake, yeah, clothed all the time. But unfortunately, that would just be boring because, yeah, I think for the first couple of years, everybody being naked would definitely be interesting because, I mean, this is terrible. I'm a people watcher, and that's kind of an entertaining thing to do. And you throw the advent of, you remove all the clothes from the situation. You couldn't keep my attention for anything. I'd just be like, oh my gosh, look at that. Holy cow. Wow, he works out. It would just be constantly bombardment with my brain would be overloaded. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, William brings up a good point. William Deaton says, how would you take a shower? You get your clothes wet. That's disgusting.
Well, you would be doing the laundry and getting a shower all at the same time, right?
I guess you'd have to immediately change because that would be the precip is that you have to immediately put clothes on.
Yeah, but see, how could you change though when you could never be naked?
It would just be like your new clothes on.
Oh yeah, it would just be we'd be able to go quite a bit further into the new age of things. You just walk into a little booth and it just paint your clothes on for you.
Yeah, you presuppose you just it's just like,
or just change a molecular structure. So it's the same clothing. It's just a material that never wears out. Your bodysuit changes. We all become androgynous beings. Be completely ambiguous.
Oh man, Icy Hand says he answered before he heard the second part, but still won. He wants them all naked. And Mike,
I didn't need to hear the second part. I'm good.
Mike says, balls out, everybody. Tyler says, sunbathing is going to be a beep. Always naked, bro. Got to let it hang out. Could you, I seriously, I hurt myself all the time.
There brings up another problem. Always naked. Sorry, cross-dressers, you ain't fooling no one,
I know, right? Always got to be naked, Warbringer, right? Tyler Durden, pool players going for the wrong balls in the top pocket. Plop. Naked football. Frank Brown, you got a good point. Football.
How could that be a full contact sport?
You see stuff popping and man, that would be tough.
Got another penalty for desacking.
Yeah, you could grind more than steel. You remind me of my Jeep. Warbringer, that was bad.
Man, that's so good.
If you were naked Tyler says, if you were naked all the time, what you'd be getting before dating. Because women they lie the most. Men lie the biggest. Women lie the most. What I mean by that is men are like, I was at my friend's house. When they weren't. That's a big lie, right? Like they lie like big. Women lie about what their eyes look like, what the color of their skin is with the makeup, with their hair, curled versus flat, how tall they are with their, heels on, boobs, they're pushed up with a push-up bra, wrap around their waist to make their self look thinner. You know what I mean? Like every aspect of their body they can manipulate to make like 1,000 little lies on their body. They wake up with nothing and you're like, oh my God, what happened?
I'm not touching any of that with a 10-foot pole. I'm just going to say you're not wrong.
Yes. It is true. I am correct.
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, at that point, the NFL with all the men would definitely flip-flop to the female football now because those ratings would go through the roof, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And they'd be raising the bar on that one.
Mike says we could all go naked, but we'd have to outlaw bending over.
Ooh, yeah. See, again, just so much functionality issue with being naked all the time. As great as that seems, I think it would wear thin pretty quick. So, again, got to be ever the practical person, ever the problem solver, ever the functionality person. I'd have to stick with the everybody being clothed all the time. I think we could find ways to get around that easier than getting around how we could be naked all the time.
Yeah, and William Deaton says female football would now get ratings, which is 100% true. Because right now, women's soccer, football, all that does not get very good ratings. What's crazy? Women volleyball gets the highest ratings of all of the women's sports, which is crazy. But women's volleyball,
which is superficial and stereotypical. Yes,
I know, but they wear spandex shorts, and so the guys are like, It's super sad. Is what it is.
I quit. I get it, but I quit.
I know, right? Jacob says, well, if the humankind never invented clothes, then we'd have another perspective. We wouldn't think like we do now. But that's not the answer. The answer is, with what we know in this moment in time, would we want to move forward completely naked or completely clothed forever?
Would you rather change the way we see the world, or would you rather keep it the way it is?
Yep.
Then it would still be changing the way we see it because we'd never see it.
I would say clothed all the time, and this is why. My wife owns a lot of clothing, but she has some clothing that's super sexual. So as long as you're clothed, there is still some clothing that's sexual and some clothing that's not sexual. So you could go whichever route you wanted to. You could have.
Think about it. Anybody spicing things up in the bedroom, they bring in costumes. They don't usually remove I mean, like, you remove everything eventually, but I'm just saying,
not always.
You usually add things on to spice it up.
There's there's clothing with holes in it. So I'm just saying. But anyway, my point is you could stay clothed and still have a good time. So, and I can't imagine myself, like, I hurt myself all the time. I'm a clumsy foe, dude. I just really am. Like, the fact that I get through life is amazing. I literally catch myself on everything.
The fact that I'm not bleeding right now is astounding.
Like, there could be a wall and I'm just like, avert, boom, and I bounce off of it. And, my body saw it, my eyes saw it. I was like, I'm going to hit that wall. I know I'm going to hit the wall, but I just, whatever reason, the signals didn't go to my brain fast enough to move around it. And I smack into it for whatever reason. I don't know why. And I just hit the wall and bounce off. And my wife's like, what? Did you not see that wall? And I'm just like, shut up. It's fine.
I did. I was drawn to it like like an insect to a blue light.
So I would prefer, not catching my sack on a nail and ripping it open.
Yep.
Speaking of that, that's a story time from my childhood. Not mine, but another person's. That happened to someone I knew.
Somebody very unfortunate.
One of my best friends was on a bicycle and got hit by a school bus, and it ripped his sack open in his pants. He had pants on, and it still happened. His bicycle seat.
Yeah, not saying that clothes would take care of every injury by any means, but it does mitigate a lot of them. A lot.
It caught, the school bus hit him, and it caught the bike and tore the bike out from under him, and the bike caught his
and here's another
sack
perspective.
and ripped his sack open in his pants. And he got up from getting hit, and he looked down, and there was just, his pants were just covered in blood, and he put his hand on his crotch and realized that it was ripped open. I was like, I was with him. I was like, oh my God.
All cringiness aside.
It was horrible.
Another perspective shift for you. All you people out there that are all unique and individual and want to show your uniqueness and how that, you're creative and all that. How can you do that by being naked? Clothes are like one of the most expressive things that we wear on a regular basis. You kind of remove a lot of the individuality of people by doing so. So just another perspective for you on that one.
Yeah. George is all, hey. Women's soccer Team USA has become world champs several times. That's true.
Yes, world chumps several times because they can't keep their politics out of it.
They're good, but I'll tell you, they don't. They are not watched as much as you would think that they are watched. So, yeah, you just crossed your legs in sympathy pain over that.
What do you think I'm doing right now during that whole thing? Just thinking, oh God.
Oh man, I was riding my bike with him when that happened, and I was just like, oh, and I thought he got ran over at first.
Frank Brown, don't go there. That just brings up my idea for cooter cuts. Anyways, let's just...
Frank Brown.
I can't be a hairdresser, not in that regard.
So this was Poll the Internet. What did the Internet want? Did the Internet want everyone to be naked? Or did the Internet want everyone to be clothed at all time? What do you think?
Everyone naked.
You think everyone naked?
Yeah.
Huh? What do you guys think? Everyone.
Most Barstool people that they ask are guys. So, I mean, come on.
Almost 60% of these guys wanted everyone clothed.
Really?
Yep.
That is surprising to me, actually.
Hey, Jacob got it. Yeah, Jacob guessed right. They wanted clothed. They were like, you know what? Most of society's nasty. I don't want to see that. Nailed it. Jacob, you nailed it. Give that man a 10-star.
What's behind that Merkin Curtain?
Yeah, give him a 10-star character. Let's get Mobile Gamer on this. Let me call Mobile Gamer. Mobile Gamer, give Jacob John a 8-star character or a 10-star character, whichever you got.
Gear 16 at least.
Gear 16 at least.
Yep.
Oh, I heard new mods are coming into the game. That made me excited. And then I found out you can only get the material from Galactic Quests or whatever the heck. And I was like, ugh. I was like, when they said that, I was like, I'll come back. New mods will make me come back because I have old mods that could get better, and I have original mods, like 1.0 mods, and I could make my 1.0 mods even better. And then I watched Arnold's video, and everything can only be rolled up to 5 times once. And I was like, okay, that's fair. But then, because I could really filter through and find some really great mods to roll again. But then the material, I can't even access. So even if I started playing again, I wouldn't even be able to access the material to get my mods better. And I'm just like, done. Goodbye.
Yeah. We're finally going to fix the game and make it so much better for everybody, but only the people who spend $3,500 to $4,500 a month can get the materials to actually mod your mods.
Yeah, but you have to have the like Galactic Legends to be able to do the Galactic challenges.
Yeah, now see, when
I don't have the
you put that many
Galactic
roadblocks up, forget
Yeah.
it. You didn't fix nothing. You just created another paywall.
Yeah, it's just another, and it's a severe paywall for me. So I was like, whatever.
No new Geo welcome. Yeah. Nope.
Which
Sorry,
one?
Capital Games, another
Wait.
swing and a miss.
I don't use these buttons enough, but yeah, that's it. I was like, I watched Arnold's video and I was like, yay! And then I got to the end and I was like, sadly, that's where I was at. But I watched it. I was the first Star Wars Galaxy Heroes video from Arnold I watched in like 8 months. And I even commented, I was like, hey, good video. His production value is insane, dude. He spends so much time on his videos. It is absolutely nuts. He's got a full studio and everything. He's
just been sweeping up all those disenfranchised
The green screening
viewers.
he is doing now, is insanity. It's absolutely nuts. But yeah, he's
all things to add entertainment value.
Yeah,
right?
he is 100% full-time YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, this has always been a hobby and always will be a hobby. So CB cash grab. Yep. But you can do galactic challenges without Galactic Legends. George says, "Are you wearing the same clothes that you were wearing a week ago?"
Oh.
Yes.
No, actually.
I'm pretty sure that is the same shirt.
Nope.
But it was a week ago.
It is a completely different one. This is a 3%er shirt. That one was a We the People with green and it did have the same Colorado logo on the sleeve.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
Wow.
I bought a bunch of different sayings. This is like, if you're not patriotic and if you're one of those backwards people who thinks the flag is racist, well then get out of here. But also, this is not the shirt for you.
Yeah. So does this, because it says 3%, mean that you're a white supremacist? I'm part of the MSM.
Nope, it means that I am one of 3% of the American populace who believes in a well-regulated militia. And I am part of a well-regulated militia in case things were to go haywire.
Yes, you are.
So locally,
you
I'd
are.
be one of the people helping you out.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, if stuff goes haywire, I know where I'm going.
Yep, I've also been taking on security jobs for some of our local officials and for
That
a
is
few
true.
of the campaign people. So there's been a new development in some of my extracurricular activities outside of job, all volunteer work, but there's too many people out there who do not have the proper security for their rallies and things like that because of valid Antifa or BLM threats, and they need armed security there for that very reason because they don't want to be rioted, looted, burned, hurt, molested, all that ridiculous stuff that we've seen on a regular basis firsthand, and we never hear it on the news. So
that sucks.
Yeah.
Side note, as far as Arnold goes, love Arnold personally to death. He's a really great guy. I've hung out with him, dozens and dozens of times. He's a super cool dude. But
good dude.
YouTube wise, he's very much what we would call an eccentric. Eccentrics are
you're watching a personality. You're not watching.
Yes,
that
it's a
particular
personality.
guy.
It's an eccentric. And while I have like moments, I'm not an eccentric. I'm just a realist. I'm just an individual who just chills, hangs, presents, educates, talks, whatever. I'm just, I don't know. I'm not an eccentric. That's just not in my personality. So he's a personality. He's very much like, what's that one main YouTuber that's really popular? PewDiePie or whatever.
PewDiePie?
Yeah, PewDiePie. He wanted to emulate PewDiePie. And so if you look at all of his like early YouTube, now I'm not saying that's wrong. I like Arnold and I think Arnold was smart to do
guess
this.
that's better than trying to emulate like Casey Neistat or something like that.
And I'm
some of these guys who have like 12.5 million subscribers, I'm like, why? These people are not entertaining.
But no, I'll tell you guys what, Arnold is smart for doing this because even if you don't like him, he knew the formula because PewDiePie's formula works. And so he said, oh, that works. I'm going to do that. And so he took PewDiePie's formula for editing, for personality, for all of that. And he started to emulate that into his videos. And as soon as he started to do the PewDiePie emulation, he exploded. Mm-hmm. But for me, I was
numbers don't lie.
Yeah. Principally, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
It's a sad state of affairs when you see the type of mentality of what people want to see and what they consider entertainment these days. It's just sickening. But when it comes right down to it, if you're just going to be out there for the views and for the
I would say after he hit about 100,000 subscribers and stuff, a little over a year ago or whatnot, his channel, his platform actually evolved away from a PewDiePie platform and actually into what he has now. It's morphed into what he has now. And what he has now is actually proprietarily his. It's unique. It's different. His channel actually looks uniquely different than anything out there. It doesn't look like PewDiePie anymore. It did for about 2 years. It does not anymore. But the PewDiePie formula worked really well to get him to 100K. And then once he got to the 100K, whether you like him or hate him, that's where it got him. Once it got there, he was able to morph it into what he has now. And what he has now is uniquely different. No YouTuber in the world does exactly quite what he does. And he has the funding now because of the PewDiePie formula to have the money to be able to do what he does now. And what he does now is way better than PewDiePie. And even though he's not growing like PewDiePie, and the reason is he's in a niche market. Like PewDiePie is not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but Arnold's doing exceptionally well. And the fact is, Arnold for mobile games has some records on YouTube that I don't know will ever be, I don't know anytime soon will be beat for concurrent views. For people watching a mobile game concurrently. I mean, he's crushing records on YouTube for a mobile game. I have never seen, that many concurrent views, like 50,000 concurrent viewers on a freaking mobile game. Like, no way. That's not even a thing, but it's happened on his live stream. It's absolutely insanity. So you can love him or hate him, but what he's doing, whether you like him or not, works. But that's also his job. That's his full-time gig. That's what he's doing. This, whether you like him or not, that's his thing. This is not my job. This is just to hang out once a week with some folks, have fun, chat, put it away.
You really want to warp your noggin. You want to see some of the stuff that does get these ridiculous views. Seriously, Casey Neistat, you just sit there and watch for a while and wonder what the heck this guy's famous for. He's like the Kim Kardashian of YouTube. You got Ryan's Toy Review. Good Lord, that kid's mom is just the most annoying, shrill voice I've ever had to put my poor ears through in any given time. Who's another really big one? Jenna Marbles, just don't understand this, but yet just ridiculous views. So, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure some of these people are like what people come home, put them on in the background and just listen to and don't ever watch or pay attention to, or it's just some popularity contest. I don't know, but love them or hate them, these people are getting the views, and if that's all you're about, then cool. But there's some people out there that are just more true to the content, and unfortunately, you don't see as much viewership for them. That's the sad truth of it all.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yep.
Ready for the next one?
Jacob says it's not even his full-time job. He works as a lawyer. No, he actually doesn't work as a lawyer full-time. He does his lawyer work pro bono part-time on the side. He actually does YouTube full-time. He's been doing YouTube full-time now for almost 3 years. Even when he was in college, he was doing YouTube full-time. He was doing YouTube for over 40 hours a week for the last 3 years. A lot of people didn't know that, even when he was in college. And
see, for some people, it takes that long, years before you knew who the heck he was.
Yeah. I just remember, and I'm going to live in this, I'm going to bask in this glory. For the first year that I did YouTube, I was bigger than Arnold. Him and I were nobody. When I came in, he was a thing. He had 1,000 subscribers. And I was nobody, and I started. He had 1,200 subs. I had nobody. And then when we started that first year, when we ended in December, I was ahead of him, and I was like, yeah. And then that December, I took December off. And in January, he was back ahead of me, and I was like, oh, man. And I never.
Son of a.
I know. Well, I took December off. You should never in YouTube take time off. And subscriber base
Great way
shifted.
to kill a channel.
Yep, from me to him. They shifted from me to him. And then after that, it was over. And then, of course, I stayed part-time, and he went like balls to the wall. And, yeah, metaphorically. And
the activity, I'm going to capitalize.
But anyway, enough about that. Let's get to your second card, dude. He's a good guy, you guys. He's a good guy. He's fun.
I can agree with a lot of people what they say about his content, but still a good guy.
Yep.
So we're going to go back to answering the internet here. I don't have any cool statistics to go along with any of these, so we're just going to jump right into it. Who would be the world's most dominant one-on-one basketball player if everyone was forced to play naked. Another one of these cards.
Oh, man.
Why do all these cards have so much bearing on clothed or unclothed?
I know. That's why they're at the bottom of the barrel.
Most dominant one-on-one basketball player if everyone was forced to play naked. With half of these 7-foot-tall basketball players that are already...
Their nuts would be in your face.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a hazard enough as it is anyways. I mean, when half these guys are practically looking at their waistband, you know, it's just...
Shaq.
The hazards. Oh, the hazards.
No.
Grotesque.
Shaq. Yeah. Just how gross would it be, though? He's like slapping his nuts on your face.
Half these guys are sweaty nastiness and just a regular normal day anyways.
Who sweats the most? Who sweats the most? Whoever sweats the most would win because you'd be like, oh, stop it. Stop it.
Even then, even sweat isn't all that bad. Who's got the worst body odor when it comes right down to it? I mean, like, really.
I've never met them in person.
If you're unclothed on top of that, yeah, I'm sure basketball shorts don't really do a whole lot to keep that waft away from you. But, you know, in a pile up when they're all going for the basket, I can't imagine who.
I could tell you in UFC who the stinkiest fighter ever was that I met.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Dan Henderson. Oh my gosh.
Shots fired.
Dude, Dan Henderson, great, you know, he's a Greco-Roman wrestler. So Dan Henderson's a great fighter because he's a boxer, Greco-Roman wrestler.
Rubs himself down in olive oil and garlic and onions
amazing.
Before he,
But I got to go to a VIP party with him, and I snuck into his party, by the way. Did not get invited, sorry. But once I was in, he was like, he thought I was a part of the VIP next door because I snuck in his party. And then when I got in, I was like, oh crap, he's going to look backwards and see me. So I ducked into the party next to him, and they were like, oh, you're with Dan? I'm like, yeah. And they were like, okay. So they started talking to me, and then when he turned around, he was like, oh, that guy's with them. But they thought I was with him, so it worked out. But anyway, I then went over to his side and I was like, hey, and he's like, you with them? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, cool. And so we started talking, and I was like, good job tonight, you know, even though you lost. But
good effort.
Yeah, good effort. But you know, you did a great job. But dude stunk like he hadn't worn deodorant for like 10 years, and that he had just got done with the match and like didn't shower. Like he'd wrestled and fought the guy he'd wrestled and fought, and then just like threw his shirt on and was like, F it, let's go party, and like didn't shower. And he
got time for hygiene.
I mean, I was like, no, you're doing a good job.
It's a great job. My eyes are watering. It's
oh
so
man.
bad.
Yeah. Dan Henderson's amazing, but I couldn't handle it. My wife, literally, she was like, she walked away and I walked over and she was like, I can't stand next to the guy. I'm going to pass out. I was like, yeah. Man. And I was like, if anyone was fighting him,
it could be strategy. Yep.
Yeah. If anyone was fighting him and they were like trying to grapple, they could like literally, the pungency could like knock him out.
He's just hoping he'll eventually get a greasy enough film around him. He'll just be able to slip out of whatever.
The worst part was after the party, we left, like he was still at the party. We left the party, and then we were walking around the Vegas, it was not the Luxor. It was
Excalibur.
No. What's the one? It goes
MGM.
It goes
all right in the same
Excalibur, Luxor. MGM's across the street. It goes Luxor. It goes Excalibur, Luxor, and then the next one.
Luxor is the end for a while. Is there
no?
One
There's three. There's three together. It goes Excalibur, Luxor, Mandalay Bay. Thank you, Mandalay Bay. You didn't help me. So it's Mandalay Bay.
Thank you for your.
But anyway, we're in Mandalay Bay, and we're like walking around in Mandalay Bay, just wandering, and then we started to like walk between Mandalay Bay. They have these like connections, and we were like walking between Mandalay Bay, and I was like, I can smell him. And we turned around.
It's distinct.
They have these places in between Mandalay Bay and Luxor where there's like shopping, and there's like a walkway in between the internal. And we like walked into a shop, and we were taking pictures with like these like fake models and stuff. As we're like, but I was like, I can smell him. And then here he comes with his entourage. He was literally like 40 feet away. And I smelled him coming. That was bad. It was bad.
Oh, what a thing to be known for. It's so sad.
Dan Henderson's
Next time you
an
see him,
amazing
just
fighter.
be like, oh, hey, what's up, man? I got this for you. I don't wear Old Spice. Yeah, but you should.
You should. You should. Yeah. So I don't know about NBA players, but whoever stinks the most and is really tall and sweaty would be who definitely.
I find this very interesting
be the
because
most
I just
dominant.
recently spent the most money I ever have on a shampoo, conditioner, body wash combo. It's you guys have probably seen it advertised in the whiskey bottle. It's the 1821 Noble Project. It's or Noble Experiment. Definitely some of the best smelling body wash I've ever had in my life, and most of my female friends agree.
Yeah, Frank Brown said that wasn't part of the original story time. I know, right?
I know, right?
Every story time has extra story times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get the meat and potatoes of the story or whatever, but all the little caveats on the outside, those come back later for recall.
That's true. Recall.
Oh yeah, the full story. That's right, because this happened also, and that led to that, and that's why this happened.
Yeah, man. Oh, he was a really nice guy though, but he stunk.
Some people just need to take the hint.
My wife's like, you overshare. You really kind of throw people under the bus sometimes. I'm like, I do overshare and throw people under the bus.
It could be to their benefit and to their advantage. They may have never known. Now they do. Now they're officially going to go and get themselves something that smells better. And
so who's the most dominant basketball player right now? What's his name that everybody hates?
most dominant basketball player right now?
He always says he's better than MJ, but he's not.
Oh, LeBron? No,
yeah,
he's
LeBron.
Not.
So LeBron right
he's
now.
He's not the top player, is he? I mean, I don't really watch basketball.
If he was forced to play naked, he'd be the best basketball player right now. Because he's tall, sweaty, probably stinky. I'm just guessing. He's rub his
that's a funny
wiener
thing
on you, and you'd be like,
he gets fouls called on him all the time, but yet people are just like, tapping him, putting their arm too close to his face. Like he's the soccer player of basketball right now. He is the over dramatized. He looked at me funny. I'm gonna fall over and start crying. Ow, my knee.
Dennis Rodman and his ring down there.
Oh yeah, Dennis Rodman's Prince Albert. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Don't need that jingling in my face. Basically any basketball player.
I'd say LeBron right now.
One-on-one me naked. No, thank you.
If we're talking current players, I'd say LeBron, just because he's one of the best now.
Well, and he is a sweater. My goodness, that just.
Yeah, sweater. I mean, he could slip off of you. Gross. That's disgusting.
All right, it's one-on-one. You get $1 million if you even score 1 point on this guy. All right, I'm down, but you both got to be naked. Never mind.
Would you rather give up, pull the internet, by the way, would you rather give up the hungover breakfast sandwich or the drunk pizza? That's silly. So would you rather give up eating that the morning after breakfast? So if you've had too much to drink, eating that morning after breakfast that kind of helps soak up the stuff, or would you rather give up the pizza the night you're drunk?
I think I'd rather give up the hungover
sandwich.
Breakfast. Yeah. The hungover sandwich, because if I venture into hangover territory, that immediately comes with nausea, and I can't keep anything down anyways. So I never really experience a hangover breakfast. I don't experience hungover food until I'm well beyond the hangover and recovered and life has come back to normal and the planets are aligned and stars are in Aquarius and all that, because I can't function on a hangover and let alone eat. No way.
Plus, if you truly genuinely are drunk, you probably in that moment need something to go in to absorb some of that, so you have less of a hangover the next morning.
Exactly.
And you have no self-control. You can't stop yourself from eating that drunk pizza. Mm-hmm. You're like, I'm going to eat this. This is delicious. Yeah.
I'm one of those weird people who doesn't have an overreacting hunger feeling or hunger pang. I just don't think about food very often, even when I'm drunk. And that's the problem with my hangovers, probably because I can't put any food down me because I don't even think about it. So. But yes, I would definitely prefer the pizza over the hungover breakfast, because I could probably keep the pizza down, whereas the hungover breakfast would be all I had to do is look at it, and here comes the rest of the alcohol that I had last night.
Except alcohol, a lot of alcohol has a bit of kind of an acidic nature to it naturally, and then pizza has an acidic nature to it. And so
Tomatoes,
two acidic natures,
big time, yeah.
especially if you're drunk, oh my gosh, you could possibly throw up. And then if you threw up, the redness and disgustingness tearing up your throat.
If it's a good enough party, that's where I'd make the attempt for the puke and rally, puke and just keep on drinking, see if you can get over it kind of thing. But yeah. I tell you what, man, once my body decides to do something, it's an all or nothing type of response.
Yeah. So Mike says pizza. Frank Brown says the drunk pizza because he never eats drunk pizza, so he'd give up the pizza. Mike would give up the pizza. They'd rather have the morning breakfast.
I
Tyler
envy
says
people who can eat in the morning during a hangover. That's just it's a talent that's lost in a lot of people.
Tyler agrees with you. He'd give up the morning breakfast or the morning sandwich because he doesn't want to give up the random choice drunk pizza. Frank Brown says, just avoid hangovers. Just stay drunk.
Again, I know the logic behind it. I just don't know if it plays. You know, I've never really had that work out for me.
And
I know plenty of people.
Mike says you wouldn't remember
the.
the pizza. That's probably true, but you wouldn't remember being able to deny yourself that pizza either. B. Coots says, that's easy for me. I can hardly eat when I'm hungover, so I could live without that breakfast sandwich. Pretty true.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler says, Mike, I remember what it does to me the next day. Oof. Drunk choice pizzas are just unreal. Yeah. Yeah, they can tear your rear end up.
I think I probably do have more vivid memories of food that tore me up horribly the next day than a hangover. I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, I guess I've only had I could probably count on both hands how many times I've actually had a true hangover. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to toe the line between buzzed and drunk very closely, SureShot.
Yeah.
So the internet says, the individuals who did this said they would rather give up that morning breakfast / the morning sandwich than the drunk pizza. They'd rather have that nighttime
I guess it feels
food.
good to not be alone in that one. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd rather have that
Maybe
nighttime
not for all the
pizza.
same reasons, but
66%, which is 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 would rather have their evening meal after drinking too much. There you go. How about that? How about now?
2 out of 3.
Catch me outside.
ain't
How about
bad.
now?
Yeah.
All right, answer the internet. Let's do it.
Answering the internet for you, for us, because we are the internet. We are the people. If you had one free throw, and if you make it, you get $1 million.
Ooh.
But if you miss, you never get to text again. Would you shoot it?
Yes. I hate texting. It would be the reason why I never have to text again. This would be awesome. I'd have an excuse. I'd be like, I'm sorry, you guys, I can't text. You have to call me. I hate texting. I truly hate texting. I would go for the money, probably win because I'm just lucky like that. I'm not a very good shot. I'm not a very good shot, but I can make a free throw.
I am the king.
50% of the time.
What's that like elimination they play where you guys all line up and they have to shoot a basket and then there's 2 people going one-on-one until you eliminate the other? I am the king of coming out the gate with a swoosh and then not being able to make a basket for the rest of the game. I get eliminated so quickly. I hate that game. It's like every time the first shot, boom, nailed it. And so I'd be great at that, but...
And you got to remember, texting is texting. There's actually a ton of different multimedia.
Yeah.
Like private messenger. Private messenger is not texting. So that's technically a different thing. So like Facebook Messenger. Facebook Messenger is actually not texting.
Technically.
Yep.
Okay, fine. If you have that caveat, then absolutely I'm making that free throw. And I'm making the free throw anyways, even though I know the evils of text messages. I know that things get lost in context because you never get to see somebody's inflection. You never get to hear their inflection. You never get to see their body language when they're telling you something when they're sending it, which is why I hate breakup text. But unfortunately, I've flipped over into the millennial mindset where I do text all the time. I barely call anybody anymore, and I do rely on that because half the time I don't want to talk to you. We can if it's all about efficiency for me. If we can get a lot said in one text message. When it comes to business, when it comes to practical things, that's great. That's wonderful. Save everything else for phone conversation or in person because I'm sorry. Just again, anything relationship wise, talk about it.
Yeah.
Voice communication in person. If you text your entire relationship, then I'm sorry. Is it really a relationship?
Oh, I had a customer the other day who I tried to call multiple times and she's like, text me. I was like, oh, I tried to email her and she was like, I said, text me. I was like, oh, so I had to text her. 142 text messages later, she bought a bed. I had to text her. Now, I know multimodal, right? I have to go to where the customer wants, so I had to do this. And that's just the way it is as sales. You got to talk to the customer the way they want to be talked to. So that's just the way it works. Multimodal, right? I got to do what they want. So I did. Okay, I got the sale, but I hated it. Seriously, I could have just picked up the phone and said what I wanted to in those like 150 text messages in 2 minutes, and it took me like 3 days. for all of those text messages to go back and forth because I'd have to type a huge thing and then she'd have to read it and then get back to me in like an hour and text back her diatribe of crap. And then I'd have to read hers and then text back to her and then she'd in an hour get it and go, okay, blah, blah, blah. And it took like 3 freaking days. And then I'd say something and she wouldn't read it right. And I'd have to rewrite it in a different way because it's texting. It's like, I can't stand having to write an articulate way of trying to explain something to somebody in text. It is so complex. I'm like, if you're trying to ask me, do you want to meet at Los J's for dinner tonight? Yes. That's a text.
That's what texting is for. It's for efficiency. It's for quick messages.
If you
it's for having
talk
one
about
little
your
isolated
feelings,
thought.
No, we're not doing that by text message. Pick up the phone or we'll do it in person. Do you know what I mean? Like texting has a purpose. It's not supposed to be for a long diatribe. It just really isn't. Oh my gosh. Super annoying.
Yeah, to answer Mike, no. Out of the 3 breakup texts that I've got, which were agonizing, that's the point, is texting is not for heartfelt emotional situations. It's not for, getting a good point across. It's not for ending a relationship with somebody. It is for quick responses. It's for, hey, I got a quick thought. Can you have a quick answer? Boom. There we go. I got that taken care of. It's efficiency.
All right. We're going to read some of these. So Jose says he's the opposite. He hates phone calls. I get it. I hate phone calls too, but I'd rather do a phone call than literally, I'm just like, pick up the phone.
Yeah, for a quick little, a quick thought, quick answer. That's what text messages are for a lot of things.
Icy Hands, like, I'm with you. I hate texting too. B. Coot says, yes, he'd shoot the free throw. Tyler says he's going to miss that free throw all day. He's got girly British arms. He'd probably just get confused and try and kick it. Sweet.
Hey, if you end up nailing the shot by kicking it, I let that stand.
Yeah, Helenex says horse. Yeah, with the boss looking away. Tyler, though, said he would give it a shot. And I'm like 50-50. I might make it. I might not. And if I make it, great, $1 million. Got to keep texting. And if I miss it, well, I don't have to text anymore. And I can just tell people, listen, I can use any other form of platform, but I can't text. And I would actually,
really, because I mean, why not take it? It's a win-win if you do make it. I mean,
yeah.
Get to stay texting and never being, personal with anybody, That's fine. Cool.
And Jose, if I had to not use other forms and it was just calls or emails only, I would still I would do email. I would do emails because email is not texting. There's text, email, and phone calls. Those are definitely 3 uniquely different forms of, multimodal.
Since nobody writes letters anymore, email is a great alternative because you
mail,
can write them a whole diatribe.
There's
you
mail,
can get the whole thought out
email,
at once.
Phone, and texting. And if you want to put private messenger in with texting, fine. But I still have mail, email, and phone. So I could still email, which is a different version. And email would work. And I would still rather do that over texting. Mike says someone got too many breakup texts. He's making fun of someone in the chat room. Frank Brown, she probably just wanted your phone number. She shot her shot. Oof. 142 messages. That's painful. Yeah, it was between 140 and 150. I'd have to go recount it, but it was like 142 or 146. It was something ridiculous. And they were huge messages. They were like, you can do 600 characters. And I was at like 540 on the character list each time when I was typing. It was ridiculous. I was getting to the max characters each time we wrote back and forth.
That's excessive.
Yeah, it was bad. Texting was invented by an engineer back in the late 80s or start 90s, and it was only used to say Happy New Year to a coworker or a family member. That's funny. People still email these days? Yeah, I still do. I'd rather write a letter than an email. My dad was
if you're going for that personal
touch,
yeah, absolutely.
Before he passed away, my dad was like, I'm writing a letter. I don't even care. And he'd send it to me. And he's like, people who don't write letters are disrespectful. I'm like, well, then I'm going to be disrespectful because I'm not going to write a letter.
I do like the uniqueness or the fact that it's like, a thoughtful gift towards somebody, whatever's writing a letter these days. But yes, when it comes to efficiency, writing a letter, putting a stamp on it, throwing it in the mail, checking with them later. Did you get my letter? To get a response or whatever. That's not as efficient these days.
All right, last round of cards, and then we'll go to story time. Would you rather not be allowed to eat food while watching sports or not be allowed to drink anything while watching sports? You got to give up eating something or drinking something while watching sports. What are you going to give up?
Not be allowed to eat. That's easy. I can, when it comes to water, soft drinks, beer, whatever, I can drink all day long. When it comes to, well, not beer. When it comes to eating, that's specifically for when I get hungry and for nothing else. I just don't eat. Yeah, that eating is just more of a chore for me. It's something I have to do to live.
You don't like snacking though?
No.
Wow. When I'm watching sports, that's probably one of the few
if people
times I
offer
like
me
to
snacks,
snack.
then usually, yeah, okay, if I'm in the mood for it, okay, fine, I'll snack, whatever, but I don't like stop at a gas station to get snacks. I don't add extra things onto my grocery list because I want to have something in between meals.
Frank Brown, good point. Jose says eating. He's like you. He'd rather give up eating. He wants to be able to drink whatever, water or beer or whatever. He wants to be able to drink.
Maybe I'm just dehydrated all the time, and that's something I should look into. I don't know.
Yep. Frank Brown, same thing. He gave up eating. Jacob John says that he needs to be drunk to watch sports. He hates it. And Frank Brown says, well, beer
Hey, at
is
least you're
just
honest.
liquid bread, so there's that.
It kind of is. Yeah, it's definitely filling.
Tyler says it depends on the company. He's going to ride the fence on this one. Some of my friends eat, some drink. I guess I'd give up food. Can always eat after or before the game. I think for me, I would give up the food because I'm kind of like you. I don't really feed myself. I'm terrible about eating. But I'm always like thirsty. So, and when I eat, I get really thirsty, and I'd be miserable if I had snacks like pretzels or something.
These
And then I couldn't drink something. I would just be pissed for like 2 hours because I'm like dehydrated, and like I can't have a drink. I'm like, I'm going to go pee in my mouth or something. It's horrible, I guess. I don't know. Like, what would you do? Like, it's just horrible.
But it's sterile, and I like the taste.
I would rather drink and not eat because I would rather have the hydration.
I kind of feel like eating is that you're doing something. If you're watching a sport, you're doing something. So like eating is an activity.
I can't believe I just said that. That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. Frank Brown says he would drink a Guinness and you get the same result. It's like eating and drinking at the same time. That's kind of true.
So you really think we're dehydrated because we don't eat enough? Yeah, I would argue that. I'd fight you.
XO is got a point. XO, half of all your hydration comes from the food consumption that you do. 32 ounces approximate of all your water that you get comes from the food you drink or from the food you eat. And then the other 32 ounces should come from actual liquids that you consume. So that is a very, very, very good point.
I don't know. I think water and hydration is just overrated anyways. Nobody really does it anymore.
Yeah. Try bloody Twiglets. Super dehydrated. That's science, XO. And you're right. I absolutely. I remember when I was younger, 20 some years ago, when I got out of the Navy and I was injured and I was like, what am I going to do with my life now that I've lost my career? I thought about being and I was in college at the time and I was taking, and they were like, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know. I want to be a cop. And they're like, you're not going to be a cop. Your injuries are never going to let you be a cop. And I was like, which they were lying, but, cause I was a cop, but 10 years later. But anyway, I was looking and I was like not a physical therapist, but a personal trainer. And so they were like, yeah, you could do personal training. And so I got really heavy into nutrition and things like that. And so, yeah,
Nobody threw the joke at you. Oh, well, sure. Because those who can't do, teach. No.
Nope. Not until just now. Thanks for crushing my spirit. But, no. So I learned a lot. They said the average person of average, height, weight, and average, exercise is about 64 ounces, which is still to this day true for the most part. Some need more, obviously, if you're extra, if you're out there doing a lot more activity, but 64 ounces.
You're not eating enough.
But 32 of those 64 ounces actually comes from your food consumption. 32 ounces what you drink. If you drink 64 ounces, a gallon of water a day, you're just going to piss that out. You're not even going to, it's not even going to absorb.
It'll get to the point where you're just kind of passing right through.
Yeah, your body actually literally shuts down and it literally allows for a pass through. So you'll just pee water. Your body goes, wait, too much, shut down, let it through. And it just shuts down and lets it through. So you can drink too much water. You can actually get water poisoning if you drink too much water too fast. And a lot of people don't know that either. Water poisoning is very dangerous. You got to be very careful.
I learned that when they did this special on high school hazing, all the upcoming freshmen, whatever. They made this kid throughout the course of this, whatever they were doing back and forth between hazing, made him drink 5 gallons of water in order to be, initiated, whatever. And he ended up dying of water poisoning.
Yeah, water poisoning. And
that's when I first had the wait, what? That couldn't possibly look into
the
this.
Other thing is,
yep, sure enough.
When I was 37, I was doing Insanity and Asylum. Asylum for Insanity, and Asylum was like next level. So Insanity is like, I don't know if you know who Shaun T is, but Shaun T does Insanity, and it's like the super awesome exercise regimen and stuff, really awesome stuff. But I was to the point where I was like instructor level, and I went to do Asylum, and I was doing Asylum and getting really, really good at that. And I was like considering being an instructor, but because of my level, I was drinking nearly 100 ounces, just like XO's talking about, because I was a beast. But the 100 ounces of water was actually flushing my electrolytes. So I was sweating between 35 and 70 ounces out of my flesh. And then I was replacing that with water, but the water was actually flushing what little bit of electrolytes I had out. So I was like electrolyte-less, and I was passing out all the time, like passing out. And the doctors thought I had a heart condition. I was literally, they told me no working out. We got to figure out what's up. They had to do a blood gas where they went through my hand with a needle all the way through my hand. Oh my God, that was so painful. And they had me run on a treadmill vertically. They're like, nothing wrong with your heart. And then they found out that I had no electrolytes. Like I was electrolyte-less, literally. Then they were like, you've got to eat one of their KFC bowls. I'm not even kidding you. They're like, there's 8,000 milligrams of sodium in one of those bowls. It's like enough for like 5 people in one day. They're like, you need, or four people in one day. You need to go eat one of those.
On the average day-to-day meal intake, that's horrible. Don't do it.
But they're like, for you
who's deficient, yes.
I'm like, they're like, you need 8,000 milligrams a day of sodium. And I was just like, how do I do that? And you can't even buy a pill, even through a pharmacy that's 8,000 milligrams. And they're like, but you've got to saturate your body with that. And then they were like Powerade
over Gatorade.
Yeah, Powerade over Gatorade, because Gatorade's sugar filled, Powerade's not. Powerade has 3 different electrolytes, Gatorade has 1. So like there's just all these different differences. I had to learn about that. So everything's about moderation for sure.
Eat well and healthy these days, specific to your body type and your situation and your health level and all that. We all just need to become chemists. That's just all there is to it. If you want to.
So the internet said 70% of them would rather just give up on eating. They'd rather give up on eating and have the fluids available to them.
Such a hassle sometimes, that food, that life-giving substance, I tell you.
Yep. All right, last card, and then we go to story time.
Part of the fallen world and all of our, backwardsness as being human beings.
We're just living in it.
I know. So which would you rather have, that's interestingly worded, which would you rather have be random?
Okay. Some randomness in your life. Which
your
one would you rather
weekly
have?
paycheck ranging from 0 to double your paycheck, or what you eat for dinner every night.
So either your two scenarios. Either your dinner is going to be random every night, which my dinner is random every night already, so status quo, or your paycheck
random
is going to go from 0 to double. So you can either get twice as much you normally get or 0.
But at random.
But
if we're using the RNG that Capital Games uses, then I'm definitely going to go with a random dinner every night, because they're going to always be like, well, double of zero is still zero.
But someday you'll get double, 0, 0, 0, 0. Yeah, no, I would never risk my paycheck like that. I'm in sales already, so it's already like that as it is. So I would definitely take the meal. Number 2, I would need a stable economy, like Jacob says, and Frank Brown says, both agree. A stable economy and food, random food. And the truth is, I'm a foodie. I'm not picky. I'll eat anything for the most part. I'll eat basically anything. So give me random food every night, Johnny.
Yeah. I'd go with random food every night, but that's funny how some people need to rely on that. So kind of like, back in the day when we were hunter-gatherers, when we had to go, hunt for our meal for the day or whatever, because it wasn't readily available and over-processed and full of chemicals and nastiness and cancer sitting on our shelves. But it's interesting, too. I kind of have a similar mentality now about my income. I am definitely a hunter-gatherer income. I don't have consistent flow of income. I have consistent customers for sure, and, God provides on a regular basis when it comes to that kind of stuff. But really, I don't have to have that same number, that same day of the week, every week. I'm not reliant on that anymore. And it's incredibly freeing. Mostly because I have a good work ethic and I actually get out there and I make it happen. But for a lot of people out there, I've even had some women that decided that was not worthwhile because my income was too inconsistent and they just had to have that consistent paycheck. And I'm like, hey, that's cool. That's your thing. Go for it. If you need to be that superficial, whatever. But I've definitely learned to be around that, and it works out really well for me. So,
yeah, you are a hunter gatherer for your income, which is definitely difficult for sure. But Bad Horsey says, Warrior, are you tempted to return to Star Wars? I was when I heard about mods 3.0, but then, or 4.0, whatever you want to call it, the new mods. But then I heard about how you're going to get the slicing material, and I went, no. No,
Almost
thank you.
close, but no cigar.
No, thank you. I don't want to do that. Yeah, XO, as a small business owner, your business income is always random, but you still should always have
XO,
some
on
income.
that, I will not fight you.
And you probably have some sort of basal income that you're used to getting every single month, even though it is random, that you're used to at least having something coming in. And
Random
this
from day
is
to
zero
day, but yeah, on a monthly basis, that's kind of
to
consistent.
double. I wouldn't want the zero ever. A big fat goose egg sucks. I would never want a goose egg.
Yep, and you know it happened every week that you put in like 80 hours too.
Especially as a small business owner. Business owners work twice as hard as anybody else. I don't care who you are. I'll fight you to the death on that. It's one reason why I won't be a small business owner, because I have been a small business owner before. I started a nonprofit from the ground up, and that was the most difficult thing I ever did. Ran that small business all on my own, and very, very, very difficult. I'll give props to anyone who owns their own business. It's a lot. But let's see, having double in your paycheck would balance out all the long runs you're unlikely to gain, only if the RNG was fair and equitable on the zeros versus double. So if in sales, I have high months and low months, and so I do balance out my high and low months for sure, and I've gotten used to that. But if it was RNG, like he's talking about, and it was like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 double, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 double, it wouldn't work out. And so I wouldn't want that. I'd rather just have random food. I like random food. I mean, if it was like, cow balls, I'd be like, whatever, I guess I'll eat them. But
if you're talking about true randomness, that's one thing. If you're talking about statistical randomness, then yeah, that changes things up a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't trust RNG anyway, because I've been jaded, because I've played Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and I don't trust RNG. I don't trust any RNG anymore.
I don't trust their RNG. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, or the new game I play is RNG at all, because it's like, we're going to give you a random player to play, and it's going to be random, and then it's a computer replay that beats you guaranteed. Yeah, my new game has RNG as well, and it's not random. So what they do on the new game, so just so you guys know, it's not just Star Wars. My new game, I'm so high, you hit go and they pick a replay, somebody who's played before, and they pick someone that plays an eagle, because I play disc golf, right? And so I have to do an eagle, 2 under par, just to tie. And then it goes into a shootout. And then they make you go first. So you shoot. Well, if you get a hole in one, they pick a replay that's a hole in one. So you tie again and have to do another shootout. And then if you shoot and you get like 4 feet to the hole, then they'll pick a replay that's 3 feet from the hole. And then you lose. It's a guaranteed loss. You're like,
we don't have anybody high enough to beat you, so we're just going to have to go ahead and beat you by cheating.
They've decided this game, you're going to lose no matter what. So they pick a replay that ties you, and then they pick replays that play after you, and whichever replay they pick will always either tie or beat you. So that way you continue to be tied and have to continue to go into sudden death until you lose because of your gameplay. So you feel like, oh, I lost, but you didn't really lose. It was pre-programmed to beat you because you went first. And that's a fact. That's actually a fact. It's so messed up. And so, but I have found out in my game how to play live players. And so I figured out a way around it. I just figured this out this week. And so when you hit match, it spins looking for a match. If you get out of that within the first 3 seconds, it won't match you up to the computer. But if you try to back out in the first 3 seconds and it connects to somebody in the first 3 seconds, it's always a live player. So if there's actually a live player in real life out there somewhere looking, it'll connect you in the first 3 seconds. But in the first 3 seconds, if you back out, it will prevent the game from connecting you to the bot replay, because it's looking for a replay and it takes about 4 seconds. So I've learned how to get live players now. And in the last week, it's been great. The game's been fun again, but I've had to figure this out. This is so stupid. And now I've been playing live players.
So I got to figure out how to beat the game.
And you can tell the difference between a live player. One, you can communicate in the game back and forth between a live player, and the bots don't communicate. And 2, the bots have like 3 dots after the name, whereas live players have their entire name displayed, and the bot doesn't display the entire name. So there's like little things you can see. Live players can't change their thrower in the game, where bots change the thrower they use, and you can't do that. So there's things you can tell that's unequivocally a replay. The game's screwing you. So it's just weird. It's like every mobile game has a way of just like, the weird thing is this game, you could spend money and it doesn't benefit you. In Star Wars, at least with like spending money, it gets you like characters that make you like meta. And it's really expensive, but I mean, at least like you spend a lot of money, you get something meta, and then like you get crystals for it or something, virtual currency. In this game, I could spend a lot of money, get discs. The discs don't help you beat the enemy because the enemy's the bot, and the bot will be programmed to beat you even with good discs, whether you have good discs or bad discs. So nobody spends money. I'm like, what are you doing to yourselves? Like,
you should put a caveat in there. If I ace this hole, if I hole in one off the bat, then he doesn't even throw. I just win. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Done.
I'm like, you guys need better. They need better developers because the way they have it programmed, if you spend money, they should lower the like bot threshold to like birdies.
Well, they want some of the
spend
experience,
money,
so they got somebody that Capital Games fired, and then now same problem, just kind of
I don't
infecting
know.
it.
It's dumb. Well, let's go to story time and we'll be out of here. But story time, hold on. Oh man, my
Good old hat. Man.
Yeah, my hat like gave me a crease. The old creasy crease of the head. So, okay. So this story, there's a couple of stories we're going to do in story time. It's all revolving around the thumbnail that I had, which is the canal. So in our valley, we have the Colorado River and the Gunnison River. And people want to know, why is our Grand Valley
so grand?
Why is the city we live in called Grand Junction? Grand Junction, big junction. It's a junction of two rivers. That's why it's called the Grand Junction.
Two very large rivers.
Yep. There's the Gunnison River and the Colorado River. The Colorado River and the Gunnison River merge in our valley, and that is the Grand Junction. And that's why
that all used to be our
Grand
water,
Junction.
but now it's going straight to California. But that's a different topic.
That is true, and they now have like legal rights to a lot of it. So anyway, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, so we're called Grand Junction, but we take the water from the Colorado and we divert it and we run it parallel through the entire valley. And we have this big canal, and then we have littler canals that go through, that go back from the north side of town, southbound, back to the Colorado River. So we've rerouted a bunch of it, and then we run it south through town. So all the valley has water, because this whole valley is a desert, and we wouldn't have...
We'd be quite the desert if we didn't have our irrigation.
But if you look at the whole valley, it's like trees aplenty. It's like gorgeous. It's really beautiful in our valley, but it's only because of the canal system that they built, over 60 plus years ago, 70 years ago. So it's really gorgeous. It was built in the 20s. So actually like 80, almost 100. Oh my gosh. I'm really dating. Really dating. It was like 1926. So yeah, it was, oh my gosh, almost 100 years ago. Well, anyway, they built the canal system, and the canal system it's functional. It's amazing. It's owned really by the people. I mean, there is a private entity that's the canal companies, but then the canals function for the people. The people actually pay into these canals through taxes and through homeowners associations and stuff like that, back to these canal organizations and stuff to basically function it. And it's really cheap because these canal companies they charge barely enough to keep it running. It's not for profit. So it's not a profitable thing. They don't charge a ton of money. It's just enough to basically keep the...
Kind of like what government used to be.
Yeah, once upon a time. But our canal systems are just like bare bones, just enough to kind of keep it up. So like, I mean, I spend, $175 a year to have unlimited water year round through the canal. $175 a year, that's it. And we get water pumped into our house for irrigation purposes. And we can water for a season for like 8 months. We have water 6 days a week that we can water our house for $175. It's amazing. So anyway, it comes from the Colorado River and it goes through the whole valley. So that's what our irrigation system is. That's why it's on the thumbnail. And so, but there's these canals that run through town. Well, as a child, of course, children are children. We will do what we will do. My mom was a great mom, phenomenal mom. But she also had to work for a living. She was a single mom raising 3 kids. And so she did. She worked for a living, and we went to school. We were supposed to go to school and go home, right? Do our homework or whatever. But we had bikes. This was back in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like, who's going to...
Our mode of transportation.
Yeah, back in the 80s.
That was our social networking app right there, is our bicycle.
Yeah, we didn't have you didn't have a phone. You jumped on your bike, you rode to your friend's house, and you said, "Hey, dude, you want to hang out?"
You told your mom when you're going to be back, so there's a timeline of when she knew to expect you, and then when to send the search party out.
Yeah. So, you say, hey man, you know, can you come? Is Brandon here or whatever? And then he'd come to the door and he'd jump on his bike and we'd go ride. And the canal was literally a block from his house. So we'd go up on to 28.5 road and we'd park our bikes. And then there was these huge areas called, they were hills, but there was no houses
now, but.
It's all subdivision now, but it was it was where the houses are now. It was just hills. But they call it Manny Heights, subdivision, but before it was just Manny Heights, but there was just these like dirt hills and some of them were real close to the canal. So we would ride our bikes, walk up to the hill, and then we would jump off into the canal, which wasn't smart, but we didn't know about undertow.
Too much fun to care.
We didn't know about undertow currents and, dangers and things like that. But there was down on the other side of the canal, there was these like pipes that went across the canal. And it had like bars. And so we would jump off into the water, we'd float down, we'd grab the bars, and we'd like walk ourselves over and pull ourselves out and walk back, get up to the top of Manny Heights and then jump back in. It was like, 20, 30, 40 feet. I mean, because there was different levels on the dirt you could get to. Mm-hmm. And you only had to jump about 10 feet to get to the canal from where you were on the hill. So the hill was really close. And it was really tall, 20, 30, 40 feet. You could choose how high you wanted to jump. And so, when you first started, you'd be on a really short one. You'd have to just like run and jump, like Matrix style.
Slow-mo in the air.
Yeah. And then you jump in the canal, you'd splash and, feet up, and you'd kind of float to the spot where there was that cross, pipe, and then you'd grab it. And it flowed fast. Trust me. I mean, it was dangerous. We kind of understood the risk a little, and we'd grab the pipe and we'd like walk over, and we were kids, but we understood. And then eventually somebody would come by and be like, "You're on private property. Get out of here, kids." We were like, "Okay, whatever."
It'd be a buzzkill at some point.
We'd grab our bikes and we'd ride off or whatever. But we weren't the only ones. I mean, there was always kids on the weekends or after school during the summers in the canal. You could see them always in the canal and stuff. So anyway, the canal district kind of took it a little more seriously, and they put up like private property fences at the entrances of all of the roads and signs, private property and fencing and stuff. But they can't fence the entire canal system because it's like, I can't even like estimate. It's like probably like 800 miles of canal system when you consider how many like this ways and this ways throughout the entire valley.
One direction's one thing,
from
but you're talking both
Palisade
sides
to
and all that. Yeah.
Fruta, all the way this way, from, A road
Because there's lots
to
of area
Z
in the canal
road.
that actually goes underground, and then it pops back up again through like residential areas, and it goes back underground, or it goes under bridges or whatever. So there's lots of areas that you need to fence off. That's just a monumental task.
Yeah, and the other thing is, those taxpayers actually pay for all of this, right? So I pay almost nothing for this water, but if they were going to fence all of this off insanely, it would have to go immediately to the taxpayers, and like fencing the entire stuff would cost like every taxpayer like 10 grand. Taxpayers don't have 10 grand in their pocket, every single one of us. I mean, maybe there's some taxpayers that would have that, but most taxpayers in the Grand Valley,
virtue signal they may be.
Yeah, I don't care who you are. Most of the people in our valley don't have $2,000 in their savings account. We do not have a very rich population. We have a pretty poor population, honestly. We do. We have a blended population. There's about 30% of well-offs and about 70% of poor people. It really is. We have some retirees and stuff, or people that have done okay for themselves, but we don't have much of a market for good business or good paying jobs. So there's a lot of poor people. There's no way we're going to be able to pay for this. There's a lot of people that have, that's the reason why the canal was set up the way it was, is to help out everybody to be able to kind of be self-sufficient with raising their own stuff and watering their own plants. And you can have your own garden, and a lot of people garden, really. So anyway, we had fun. And as a child, I have fond memories of the canal system because we had so much fun playing in it and stuff. But I do get, like, that was another time, right? The 80s were another time. And since then, they have definitely put up these barriers and these fencings and big private signs and all sorts of stuff to say, like, you can't be in here. And they're like really about like, hey man, if anyone's on there, they yell at you, they call the cops. So we can't do that anymore. Nobody can do that anymore. They don't allow it. Well, unfortunately this week, there was a family, and this happened. This could happen to the best of them. This isn't about a story about the parents being bad parents or anything like that. This absolutely has nothing to do with the parents or that they were bad or wrong or did something wrong.
Anybody with kids or who was a kid at one point, because I think we all kind of were, realized that, yeah, we can disappear in a flash.
Yep. Unfortunately, the parents had a 3-year-old. The 3-year-old was going out and playing, every day, goes outside and kind of plays in the front yard or whatever for a little bit, and then comes back inside, and they kind of keep their eye on her to make sure she's fine. And for whatever reason, this day, the 3-year-old, just disappeared. And so they went outside real quick, like, where'd she go? And they were looking. And by the way, I watched a movie just recently about where this happened with a little boy, and they literally left the little boy alone it was a good Christian white couple. So it wasn't like a bad family. And this was, and the boy literally disappeared in like 30 seconds. I mean, they literally went inside to grab some luggage, came out, and he was gone. And there was no one that could have kidnapped him because they were on a farm. And the boy had tried to go because on the same farm was a grandpa who lived on the farm and another house on the farm. And the boy was 2 and just tried to go to the grandpa's house, but got lost in 30 seconds. And they spent like 28 hours looking for this boy. And they made a movie about it because they literally spent 28 hours. They found him in the forest near the house, like 2.8 miles away from the house. And the family couldn't find him. And they were looking for him. They were 4-wheeling, literally a minute after he was gone, they were 4-wheeling looking for him, and they couldn't find him. This little kid so it happens. It happens. But anyway, she was, inside, whatever, looking, and then just noticed she was there. And then the next minute she looked and her little 3-year-old was gone. Mm-hmm. And so she freaked.
Yeah, they put a search party out. There was over 100 volunteer searchers. Me and my sister were out for till about 3 o'clock in the morning. Looking in the area, which is kind of crazy to think too, because it's a pretty populated area that she disappeared in, and there's lots of people out on a main road that there's traffic on all the time. So one of the big scares and was worried there for a little bit was she got picked up by somebody. If there's that many people around that could have seen her, that was the first thought of where they were going with this for a while.
And there's over 80 pedophiles in the 1-mile radius of her home.
Yeah.
So there was that thought. And then of course there was traffic. And then, of course, there was the canal nearby. And so they were worried about all 3 of those things. And so they immediately started a search party. They put it on Facebook. I shared that on Facebook. And then we started, looking and everybody started looking. The whole community rallied around and started, going around. And hundreds of people came out to look and search for 24 hours. Then they shut the canal down and drained the water. And the next day at 2:30, because she went missing at 6 p.m. And that evening, they ceased the search at night, and they had a feeling that she was probably in the canal.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was evidence of her toys that said that there was near the canal that made me go, okay, well, there's a possibility of all these other things, but now we're looking here instead.
So unfortunately, they dredged the canal the next day, and at 2:30, they had some divers go into the water. And
they had helicopters actually helping out with the search, and they saw something.
Yeah. And at 29 Road, which was near her home, 29 Road and the canal, just north of Orchard Avenue, they found her body. So that's a really sad story and a sad ending. We were really hoping for the best. I did post on Twitter that story. It's a real tragic situation. My wife, myself, one of my daughters, we went to the place where they had the vigil, which was 29, and the bridge where they found her. And we went there and we put some candles. And
saddest part about that, me and my sister are actually waiting at that area bridge. Going, we've heard what the updates are and why they've called the search off for the night, and it doesn't sound very hopeful. So we thought about it for a while and called it quits at 3 o'clock in the morning. And ironically enough, that's where they ended up finding her. So that was a little bit creepy.
So I don't know. You always think about this, and then you think about, what do we do? What do we do? What do we go from here, kind of thing? Because things like this happen, and so that it invokes emotion, right? And it should evoke emotion, or at least if you're breathing, I would hope it evokes a little emotion. I mean, if you had a sister, or if you have a kid, or if you had a neighbor that had a kid, I mean, there should be some emotion inside that says, "Wow, this is horrible and tragic." But it also evokes knee-jerk reactions. And
Happens
unfortunately,
way too much these days, unfortunately.
there's not a gun involved, so we can't ban guns, right? So what do? Let's ban canals, right? That's exactly what's literally happening in our town right now. Basically, the idea is we need to either not have canal systems, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
the 100-year-old
ridiculous.
canal system we're not going to ban.
And so
it
much
benefits
so
the
much
poor.
for our economy and agriculture is based off of these canals. So it's
Right.
not as if you can just yank them out and say, "Oh, nope, we can't do that anymore." Sorry, everybody gets screwed over because of this one sad incident.
I literally can think of like 5 people I know that they literally do all of their vegetables and fruits and stuff like that themselves for 8 months out of the year, that they grow themselves, that we garden share. For ourselves, we have fresh veggies and whatnot. I mean, I've posted that on Twitter many times. You and I go out back and we eat fresh veggies literally off the vine and stuff, like our raspberries and things like that. It's just silly. So the knee-jerk reaction is kind of what happens when a tragedy occurs. And so I guess the takeaway here is to not have a knee-jerk reaction. And so there's this huge thing right now being pushed that the canal companies literally fence the entire canal in for the entire 800 miles of every single direction, and it's an impossibility and practicality to do that. Literally would cost every single
and yet
person.
again, what a great way to pass the buck again, pass the responsibility. Nobody takes personal responsibility over their own yard, their own kids at that point. They want the city, they want the government, they want the taxpayers, they want somebody else to take care of it for them, when it's like, okay, how about instead of fencing the entire irrigation ditch, leave up our no trespassing signs, which are there for any common sense person to see and walk by. But if your own house is right on the canal, put up a better fence. Why not mitigate your own situation, your own responsibility for where you live and where you chose to reside?
I think the biggest thing here, though, is one, that solution is just wholly impractical. It's wholly impractical. And two, what are you going to do? She could have wandered in the road and got hit by a car. What were we going to do? Ban cars, put fences up around all of the roads? Again, knee-jerk reactions are retarded. That's not the route to go. Sometimes life just handles you or gives you a tragedy. And it's not about fixing the tragedy. It's not about fixing a tragedy. It's just not about fixing a tragedy. Sometimes you just have to accept that tragedies occur and there's no solution. It's just, you just have to move on, move forward. And it's not about fixing anything. It's about accepting that it occurred and what can we do about it? Well, education, canals are not a good place for children. You mentioned placement of homes. That's another thing. The other thing is, if you have a 3-year-old and you live near a canal, that's a consideration. I have a friend who was looking for a home, and he was looking, and every time he looked at a home where they were within a mile of one of the canal systems, he was like, nope. Now, I bought the house we're in now, and my youngest is 14, and there's a canal literally 25 feet across from my front yard. Over that hill right there, that's literally a canal.
Oh,
right
it's a
there.
canal there. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
you know those rocks? right
Yeah.
where you park? It's right there.
Oh, no kidding.
The rocks are right up. Yeah, that's holding back water. That's a canal system. That's our canal system. So anyway, I'm literally 30 feet, 25, 30 feet from a very fast moving deep canal. But I have no and my youngest is almost 15. So it's I understood the risk of living next to a canal, and I don't have any children I'm concerned that are going to make a poor decision. If I was still doing foster care, I wouldn't live next to a canal. When we were doing foster care, we moved out to Whitewater, where it was a desert. We didn't have any moving bodies of water anywhere within 15 miles of us, so we knew that if anyone wandered off, they were not going to drown in anything. So sometimes you just have to, like you said, personal responsibility, but sometimes life just handles you a tragedy, just gives you a tragedy, and it just is what it is. Sometimes you just have to accept the fact that life has tragedy, and it's sad and it's horrible, and we have to pull together and love on each other and move through it and move past it. But sometimes knee-jerk reactions aren't the solution. Sometimes a solution isn't needed because sometimes that's just the way it is. Building a fence line all the way around every single, canal in the world is not going to fix it. Just like, building a thing around every single road isn't going to fix it. We have, you know, we've had 14 people hit by cars this year alone, children hit by cars this year alone. This is the first child that's drowned in the canal system in the last decade. So 2 decades. So it's like,
it's not a common occurrence.
You know what I mean? So like, if there was really an issue, it would be more about like the cars, but you know, that's again, anyway, so it's definitely one of those things. I think sometimes people just need to, you know, accept it. I don't believe the family was doing anything malicious or ill or wrong or anything like that. And I feel like where they lived is low income, and that was where they could afford to live. So I don't feel like that was any fault of their own for living where they lived. Unfortunately, there's a canal system that runs through there, and they do all benefit from that. So it is what it is. It's just a tragedy. It's one of those things where life deals as tragedies. People die of cancer every day. It's not fair. Yeah. We're not gonna do anything.
It's a fact of life. People die every day. That's unfortunate. People think that we can stop that somehow. That's just not the case, because there are certain things of life that you need to understand are things you can't change. Yeah. What's up, Zevius? So that is our live stream for today. We're going to be back again as always. I appreciate you all coming on and hanging out with us. Thanks, SureShot, for chilling. Always glad to be here. Chilling like a villain with Bob Dylan. But anyway, I appreciate you all being on. If you are just now hopping on or whatever, I apologize for that, but I appreciate everybody who comes on as always. It's Warrior and SureShot. You guys keep your gaming on. Warrior and SureShot out.